I am really excited and inspired to bring you this week's guest, Maria del Pilar Garcia. You're going to hear a great personal history, a powerful story of obstacles, inspiring people, overcoming challenges, and how Maria applied the power of her language and culture and identity to help achieve her dreams and help others now achieve theirs. I think you'll find it inspiring, like I did, that you don't hear Maria use the word problem except in a positive pathway to meet challenges and achieve our dreams and inspire others to do the same. Maria is an educator in New York City. She uses her language and cultural background to not only instruct her students in a new language, but how language, culture, and identity fits together for them and for those about whose culture they're learning. She honors her own background and theirs, and I found myself listening with an ear to my own father's refugee background, coming from Croatia as a refugee before World War II. Maybe you have a personal history that will inform you as you're listening to this powerful podcast. You'll be invited to participate also in Maria's dreams. She's established a foundation to serve young people in Spanish-speaking countries that have no access to education. As you listen, you'll be invited to learn more, to potentially participate, and to donate. She'll also mention her books. They are powerful. I've purchased them, and in reading them, I found myself inspired to do more too. So, enjoy the podcast, find your voice and your history in it as you listen to Maria's. Enjoy. I'm Norah Jones. Welcome to It's About Language. This podcast connects language and culture to life, learning, and hope. You'll experience insightful conversations with creative leaders in the fields of education, business, arts, and science. My guests shed light on the impact of language and culture on individuals and society as they share their stories and experiences. You'll be informed and inspired as we explore how language and culture make us human and bring hope in the midst of a challenging world. It's my great pleasure today to welcome my friend, colleague, and a wonderful educator, Maria del Pilar Garcia. Hi, Maria.
Hola, hello, how are you? It's
I'm
Nora.
well, thank you. Thank you so much for being my guest today. And I would like to make sure that all of our listeners know that you are a high school teacher of Spanish AP, that is to say, advanced placement, and language other than English classes at the Board of Education for New York City. And you work in conjunction with St. John's University, the College Advantage program. You've been doing this for 22 years, my friend, and you have been promoting the language, promoting the culture, and promoting the passion for that time. And you've been awarded like Spanish Teacher of the Year 2014 from the American Association of Teachers of Spanish and Portuguese, the AATSP. Congratulations, Maria, on all your excellence, but especially on all your passion. Where does that passion come from, my friend?
First of all, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. It's wonderful. That way I can spread, my ideas and thoughts about this passion that I have for teaching, especially showing what is a culture, what is identity, and what is this beautiful language of Spanish. It comes from my grandma, my childhood, where I grew up, and I'm the oldest daughter of 8. So from there, you can tell that I was thinking to either be a teacher or a nurse. And I started studying nurse for over 2 years here in New York, and then I switched to education because I thought there was more need really in education for me to get more students successful and to help them more in their family problems, including my teaching, so I can work both ways.
Interesting that you would comment about with their problems. What are some of the things that you saw that captured your heart and made you realize it was its own kind of nursing, if you will, this educational choice?
When you are a teacher, I think I have a special sense also that I see who needs help to communicate better, who needs love, who needs more compassion in a way of giving a motivation. Students who have problems at home not only, I mean, like with themselves to find out who they really are, problems that arises with the family, but to love, like they need love, they need attention. And I found out that many parents didn't have time for them, for these students that I spoke eventually few times. And I sensed that when I was, doing my lessons, and I asked them to write, for example, how many times a week do you meet with your parents, you talk, you discuss any topic, anything that worries you. They said, the majority said very few times, and some of them said none.
Wow.
So that really calls, ring my bell. And I said, well, they need something here. And they were like, no, I don't want my parents near me. I don't want this. They don't understand me. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to really, not even to have it, not a discussion, just a small talk about something, about themselves. What do you like? I found out that many parents don't know their own kid. I think we teachers, we learn how to know better the children. That's one of the keys that I found out. And I'm a mom. I can tell that the experience as being the oldest sister and a mother helped me really a lot to sense this from my students.
Yeah. Now, you, Maria, relate to the folks that are feeling disassociated from their parents, not because you yourself have experienced that per se, but because of your family stresses, strains, and you're coming to the United States. Can you express to the listeners what it is that you have done in your past that make you sensitive to these things?
Yes, of course. I sense this very easily because when I was a child, also, I have to go through a hard time with my parents. They had also, hard situations within themselves, especially, the Hispanic culture used to have this ego, the macho, into the men, and the women were supposed to be home, and the men outside working, but not only working and playing different roles of Don Juan, if you know what is Don Juan.
Yes.
Playing, yes. So that's something that, unfortunately, that's how men used to be raised, and they grew up in this environment, the majority of men. So it's not it's not their guilt that, that is their fault, but it's the whole culture that used to be like that. So I grew up with some of this, and I was always thinking on my brothers. I tried to be there for them, and I have a great supporter. That was my grandma, and also my grandpa, but mostly my grandma. My mom's mom. She was always with us. She was always trying to pacify us, to tell us, "Don't worry, let them have their argument. Come with me." She used to distract us, to take away us aside from my parents' arguments, or I will say in a gross word, like fights. So I see that, and I sense it, and I said, I'm not going to do that. If I'm a mother one day, and if I have my family, that's the least thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to do the opposite. I was always thinking not to take things that are not right, just to take the best from my parents and from the adults that surround me, and bring that with me, and use it with my own family, and if in my profession, in this case as an educator. So I felt that with my students too, many times, and they, at the end, they told me their situation, how their guardians were fighting, the father was hitting their mom, or the opposite, or the brother to sister, or somebody else. And many other problems like drugs, many situations, many problems that they arise, and they don't know how to find the solution. They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to really handle it. So they count on me. And also, what you asked me before about the way that I came and what moved me to come to this country, it is the needs that I had to really encounter when I was between 14 and 15 years old. I had to think and realize the reality of my position as a oldest sister, and take a decision that will change not only my path, but my family's path. I was really desired to come to the USA, to the north, that we used to call it El Norte, and just do whatever I have to do in a good way. Okay, not like to work hard to get myself educated and just continue ahead and support my family, to put my family on my shoulders and change the life, the new path that they were going to really continue living. My dad went bankrupt, and he lost mostly everything when I was 15, almost 16 years old. And I have to find a job. Thank God I was studying in a school where you can graduate early. I graduated early, and I was studying also as a secretary. A lot of extracurricular activities that I did that helped me to work and study. And I continued studying at night. It was a tough schedule for me because it was from 6 to mostly 11, 12 p.m. every day, including Saturdays. But I needed to do something. I couldn't leave my parents and my brothers and sister alone, especially that we were a big family. So we were really, really in a bad position here. So then my aunt, who was here in New York, and she wrote me, and I said, I think I'm going to ask her if she will help me to go and just lend me some money, and I can just go there. And I thought it was easier. I thought it was just to take an airplane and just go,
Oh
But
my. Yes,
then this
sure.
whole trip was not that easy. It was full of obstacles, and but I came through, and I finally ended in New York. So I don't know if you would like me to tell the whole story, but it's pretty long and it's not easy.
Oh.
It's
I can tell that
Yes.
it's not easy, and yet you overcame, and this has got to have an impact on the way that you look at and work with the students in your class. And again, we're talking about you're being a Spanish teacher. You're working with students that are learning a language or reinforcing their language. How do your experiences, and you're welcome to tell more of them, of course, how do they work with the language and the culture that you are bringing in through your position as a teacher?
Well, at the beginning, I will tell you from my point of view. I see the students, and they say they don't know who really I am, and they don't know what I have to encounter in in the past, just to stand right there in front of them. But that helped me, and that gave me the power, the skills to really show them that learning a new language, is going to bring them more power, more opportunities for their future. And especially now that we see the changes, not only because, through this pandemic, but before we were already seeing the languages world is really becoming a great opportunity for everyone. So that's the first thing I do. I show them the importance of learning a new language, the importance of knowing another culture, to see what they have similar, what they can compare and see, oh, I do this the same. Incredible. So, and also to have more opportunities to be in more places. Your learning never ends. That's one point that I always emphasize in my students. You never stop learning. And if you learn through your career and also experience a new culture, a new way of different aspects of that you can learn from others, then you can use that as a power for your knowledge, for your future, for your career, for your, even maybe you can start your own company, and you can learn about your workers. And if they are from different cultures, then it's much better for you to know this language, for you to know not only one, not only two, as many languages that you can. But in this case, Spanish is, and I find that telling them that is what gives them really the opportunity to move on.
Keep using, with good reason, the word opportunity, and in so many cases in world language classes around the United States, even for Spanish, which is so widely used in the United States by many populations, that students don't necessarily see the opportunities. And you have students with all sorts of backgrounds, needs in New York City, and you're emphasizing opportunity comes with your own life story, your own journey, your own dream. That impact on students, how do you make sure that they understand that this can be their lives too?
I explained to them the opportunity that I had coming to this country, taking English as my second language, which I didn't, I mean, I knew the grammar, how to write it, but to speak it, it's totally different when you are in an overseas country, especially a Hispanic country. I have the opportunity to learn it, yes, but when you come to the reality and you try to speak, it's totally different. It's not that easy. So I told them, if I didn't know, if I didn't have the desire to really begin my life here with a new language, new culture, then I wouldn't be who I am today. And I tell them, you need to have the decision, the desire to move on, to think what is good for me, what I can do to improve my opportunities, what can I do to have a better future with everything that I can take that is around me. So that's one of the things that I mention to my students. And I also tell them, look at the doctors, look at the engineers, architects, everyone. If you become a doctor and you need to travel to any country that the language is unknown for you, and if you know it, then you will have an advantage. But if you do not, then you have to find someone to talk, to help you to translate. What is much
Yes.
better, to have a translator there next to you or to speak the language, to understand what the people feels, what the people is saying? So this is one of the ideas or that I pursue my students, and I motivate them to really continue with the language. And also through music. Music is so beautiful, art. So we have so much of this. We have different kinds of richness in our culture that we can bring a lot.
There are so many pathways, and it strikes me that you've spoken now twice with great joy of your grandmother, and her identity is in the midst of you, her life, her culture, your culture by background. How does that inform how you approach what you're doing in your life?
Well, my grandma was a very powerful woman. She used to be a writer. She used to be a very easily spoken person. She used to write to presidents. She used to create poems. She was a businesswoman. She was very, very desired to be someone important in the country. Unfortunately, and I will say this because back then, 60, 70 years ago, woman, it was totally nothing, I will say, in our culture. It was not easy really to express your feelings and say, oh, I am this, I want to do this. No, the woman was just born to be a mom, to be at home, and not to do anything else. So she told me, she said, if I'm not able to accomplish what I want, she wanted to become a woman with power, with opportunities to be able to speak for others, an activist or maybe a president. If she would be at this time in here at this era, oh my God, I know she would have been somebody really, really important for the Hispanic culture. But she emphasized that into me, and I took that as a big message. And she said, the day that she used to tell me a lot, you're not going to stay here. You're going to go away. You're going to grow as an important person. You're going to make a difference for women, and you're going to bring a big message to others. And that's what I had been doing. And I'm writing my books on her name because this is her passion. This is what she wanted to do. She really, I had a lot from her into me. So I think I'm making her dream come true.
As a career educator and certified Gallup Strengths Coach, I engage with you and your team to bring energy, focus, and breakthroughs to all you do. Fluency Consulting provides workshops, presentations, talks, and team building events for K-16 educators and education-oriented organizations and businesses. Get energized, experience new insights, pathways, and perspectives. For more information, see our show notes or go to fluency.consulting.com. Talk about your books, the books you've been authoring, what they're doing, why you've been writing them.
Well, I'm writing them. First of all, the first one that is Camino a un Sueño in Spanish and Journey to a Dream in English. It is the expression of my own experience coming since in my early childhood up to now, actually 30 years of my life, more or less. It is my biography, but in a special way. It is a third person story where, as in, I will say, new immigrant in this country, I have to express and tell and give others hope that what you want, you can accomplish. What you desire to do, if you put that dream ahead of you and keep dreaming and putting a lot of effort into your path daily, you will end up being successful with your dreams. So this is something that I always wanted, that I desire to do in my life, to all the goals that I set in my life, I have been accomplishing them. I'm very positive that if someone has a lot of struggles, have a lot of obstacles, because it's not easy to move on. But if you, with your feet really standing and strong and thinking that you're going to be able to do it, to move on, it's the best vitamin, the best motivation that you can have. And never stop dreaming. I think when you start dreaming, you stop your future. And I don't think it's right. So my grandma was really the one who pushed me to do this. I had this award that I received from the ASTSB in Panama. That was where I received the award. And then I went to Colombia, to Cartagena with my husband. And I was in a small town, very, very poor town near the indigenous groups. I always, when I visit places, I go to schools where, I want to see the school system. I want to see schools in other cities. And I went to this tiny, it's like a classroom, the size of a classroom, this school, with like 10, 12 children with no shoes. Their clothes was really like, dirty. And it was really sad to see them using books that were not even books. They were covered with newspaper, all newspaper. Their their pencils that they were using were like halfway one of their fingers, more or less, I would say, in size, like really small. And I said, "Oh my God, this is what my grandma wanted me to see. This is the message that she sent me. I'm here for something, and if I got this award, it's because I need to do something for them." Something I had been doing so many things for my own students in New York and all over in the USA. Why not to do something for these children that really need me? So that's when I started thinking about my book. Coming back from in the airplane, I started writing my book, my first one, Camino a un Sueño or Journey to a Dream.
Wow. And you're using the proceeds from that book
Oh,
for
yes.
an organization that you founded or co-founded. Tell me about that.
Yes, sure. I co-founded an organization, Pilar of Dreams, or Pilar de Sueños, with my son. I started alone at the beginning. Just I was going to use the proceeds from the books just for me to bring support. And then my son came to me and said, Mom, why we don't start beginning an organization where we can bring more support? And we had to think on names. And then I started thinking, my name, Maria del Pilar. Pilar, I'm the oldest of a family. It's a pillar. My grandma and my mom and my dad decided my name because the pillar of the family is the oldest child, the oldest sibling. And then I was a girl, the oldest, and I think the pillar of everyone is the strongest pillar to be successful is education. Education at home and education in school. So those pillars are the ones that I need always to put ahead in anyone's ideas. So when my son said, we can call it Pilar of Dreams, Pilar de
Nice.
Sueños. So this is
Nice.
how we started. I met someone. I went to after my second trip to Colombia. After I wrote my book, I went and I met a few people, and I went to a place where they need so much. They don't even have a school. So this is what we're working towards now to help them build a good school. We develop a good computer lab for the students, for the children, and we brought educational supplies for over a year. So now we are expanded. We are in Bogota, in the capital, helping a small school up to the hill where the community is very poor, and Instituto Cerros del Sur, that's the name. And then in Ciudad Bolívar. And then we were in Cartagena, we help in Tierra Bomba, which is very important. They don't even have water. So we're trying to get support for that. And also in Cali, we help children with cancer. So it's a lot of work. It's been really hard, but I'm not going to stop. This is what I'm going to do in my next page, what I said, I'm moving on,
Uh-huh.
my new era. So this is it.
That's fantastic. You have a new book coming out, correct?
Yes,
What's it
yes.
called and
It
what
is
is it
called
about?
Educándonos, Educamos, which is why educándonos? Because we come back to the same part where I was telling you the problems of the students. If we have the new generation getting themselves educated better, right, into
Yes.
how to form a family, but just to start a family is not like that. You need first to find out who you are. If you're ready to have that family, if you're ready to give to your family the best of you, what the family deserves. It's not just to, oh, I found my partner, my couple, my husband, my wife, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to get married, I'm going to do this. And do you really know that's the person that you're going to be happy, that you're going to create or begin the family that you have been dreaming? So my book is in 10 chapters, talks about all of this, how to get ready, how to just not to give up in the first argument that you have. That's what I noticed also. The young people is getting married and they just, oh no, I don't understand you, you don't understand me because we have this argument. No, you need to talk. You need to learn how to really manage to everyone give your point and then get into a middle and just move on. You don't need to really break up. What if what you're really breaking up is a good relation in the future? And also the relations when you fight a lot, when you have a lot of disappointments that you don't get each other alone, then it will also give you an idea. Okay, you're not for me, I'm not for you, so let's leave it here. It's better to leave it before the children come than after, because when many parents have children and they bring all these situations into the family, into these children's shoulder, they don't know how to take it, they don't know how to really handle it, and they learn this and they get, oh, the normal life is to be always fighting, is to be always against the other person, and it's the opposite. So I think it was necessary to have a book like this. I have already 5 colleagues of mine who read it and they love it. I think it's going to be a good, I will say, instrument for not only Hispanics, but everyone in general to follow the steps and just to put their own ideas, feelings in what is a family and how we need to really take that family ahead in the best way.
Absolutely phenomenal. And it is related to the idea of the journey and keeping your eye on the prize and assuming that there are various pathways, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes, yes,
You
you're
are
right.
writing these materials in, well, at least the first book, The Journey to a Dream, was in both English and Spanish, and they're both for sale on the in those versions. How was it? How does the experience potentially of these materials vary in the two languages, or does it? Do you feel that there are certain flavors in the two languages that vary?
Well, you know Spanish and you know
Yes.
English. Spanish, you can say one thing in so many ways. For example, if you want to say the room, the bedroom, la habitación, el cuarto, la pieza, los aposentos, you know. So I will find that I express, and that was the first one that I wrote originally, the one that has that flavor of what Spanish is. But the English, the editor who did the English book, who translated, she's a lady who's married to a Colombian person. She's a lawyer. And I talked to her a lot, and she said, I'm going to try to keep the same sense of the first book, the Spanish, the original, through the English. And she did a great job with this. She really, whoever reads it in Spanish or English finds all the details in a good way that they sense and they feel that they are seeing Genesis, which is the main character, really in front of them. Because the book is developed, is written in a special way where the character interacts with the third person that is there, and also she comes also sometimes talking in the book, so it goes on and off, and all the other characters they talk too. So it has that magic realism that Gabriel Garcia Marquez taught us. So I include something like that because I thought I have to call the attention from people to see that writing is not only just to write, it's to call the attention and keep the people inside of the writing, to feel the words, to feel the experience that the writer and the characters had. And also, something that I want to point out is that this point is more towards people that are, oh, you are a newcomer, you are an immigrant or undocumented, however you want to call it. You are an outsider. This book is a proof for those that don't have hope, that think, oh, no, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to be able to accomplish what I want because in this country, blah, 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 I can't. People don't. No, it's not what people want. It's what you want. And I can say that all the experiences, all these obstacles gave me the strength to really write the book and show my story. And I was one day undocumented. I was one day, I came, I will say it freely now because I feel very proud of what I did, even though it was not easy. I came through the border and I suffered. I went through a lot. You will find it in the book. But you know what? Nowadays, I think, and I said, I've been standing in front of so many students throughout almost 25 years, almost 27 years. And how many have I have been their teacher, their language teacher? And how many are motivated to continue with their profession? How many are doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers? Mention it, anything. And I was that person when I was 19 years old that I came to this country, that I never thought I was going to really be in front of so many youngsters and be a motivator and be the best for them in that moment, to talk to them.
Your passion is motivating and your work is motivating. And I have to point out that the message that you give of immigration, of coming in, of taking a chance, of being undocumented to get started, to any number of layers that are going to be found in that book are for lots of different people in their different lives, not just obviously for kids of Hispanic background.
Yeah, it's not only for Hispanics, it's everyone. I mean, the history says it. This country was made from zero to what it is today. I mean, it was only the indigenous groups that were here. So when I talk about USA, Los Estados Unidos, I said, this is the country of all. This is the country where it's the second one in the world that is Spanish is spoken. After Mexico, USA is the second country that we speak the most of Spanish. So if they want to have all the people from that speak Spanish out, they can make a new country of over 50, 60, something 65 million. So, and it's not only that is Hispanics, everyone from everywhere. How many cultures we have in this country? How many people from different backgrounds? New York is an example. We have 135 different languages. We have 165 different, more or less different backgrounds. So USA is the country of all. So I always said, if I can make it here, if I can really succeed here, if I can do it, everyone can do it.
That ferocity you just brought was the same that brought my father, as an immigrant from Croatia in this case, to the country. And that is a very strong message that I just want to make sure everybody hears. And indeed, make sure that people realize that I have on my website information about your writings, places to find where they can buy writings and get in contact with you. Right, Maria?
Yes, yes, yes. Amazon is the best place to get my books. And of course, you're going to put in your podcast information, what I have from Pilar of Dreams too, where if people wants to donate, if people wants to be a volunteer, if people wants to come with me to Colombia and see and really be a volunteer, we need to become, also that's another part, I'm sorry to expand a little bit here, that people needs to realize that their children needs to sense and see the needs of others, and become global citizens to support. Nowadays, you're not only helping, you help your community, but if you move a little bit out too, you can learn more about others, as I said before, but learn how much need others have. It's not only us here. The USA, I say, is a rich country. It's a country where you have everything. I mean, you use the tools that you are given, but these other places, they don't have those tools. They need support. And if we bring this attention and we teach our children, appreciate what you have, is not only by telling them, it's to show them. So this is a great way to really come and see what we do in Pilar of Dreams or Pilar de Sueños, and how you can give one little piece of your time, a small time or a small portion of what you can donate, and we can make a difference in a child that didn't even think that he was going to change his path. Right now I have 3 students that are in college. We are supporting these 3 students. They never thought they were going to be able to go to college.
That's great. That's phenomenal. Yes, in fact, indeed, on the website and here vocally in the podcast, to take a look at how folks can understand more about the foundation and to support the Pillar of Dreams Foundation. And Pilar, I'm speaking of Pilar, Maria de
It's
Pilar.
okay, it's okay.
Would you? I just feel like it's definitely a part of your identity. No question about
Yes,
that.
of course, the pillar. Uh-huh.
That's exactly right. Take one more moment. You have provided many wonderful invitations and exhortations and as well as information here today on this podcast. What's the last word that you'd like to make sure that listeners hear from you today?
Okay, I'm going to say one of my phrases that I have in my book that I created. I have three wonderful phrases, but I'm going to tell you one. The decision to triumph is yours. Paint your future as you wish. Choose the colors and don't allow anyone else to choose them for you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing everything today of your passion, of your experience, of your history, and of especially that which you've been able to open up in the lives of young people and their families around the world. Appreciate you being here today, Maria.
Thank you for your invitation anytime, and thank you for all your support.
It's a great pleasure, and I do encourage all again to take a look at your books and the foundation, and best wishes to you in your continuing journey and writing for the success.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. Let's continue the conversation. Be sure to check out my website, fluencyonline.com, to learn more about our guests and to check out the resources and information they've shared with us there. I have other ideas, resources, and opportunities there for you too. Again, thanks so much for listening, and until next time.